In game 5 between the Mavs and the Warriors, do you see the Warriors closing this series out, or do you see the Mavs pushing this series to a game 6?
Well, before I go out there and I make my prediction, let me just first say game 4 in and of itself was exactly the type of basketball, aside from the fourth quarter, and I'll get into that in a second. Kyle's probably laughing in the background, but dude, this is the basketball that this team has played this postseason. This is the basketball that shows that we can compete with anyone. At one point, guys, if you did not see the game, it was a 29-point game before the fourth quarter started. It was complete and utter dominance. We dominated them in the paint. We had outshot them outside the three-point line. Everybody was kind of getting involved. It wasn't really like one focalized person. I know that Luka ended up with 30 at the end of the fourth because he had to come back in the game, but we're talking about overall production from players that have not shown up in quite some time. Reggie Bullock goes 0 for 10 in game 3. He ends up with 15. Dorian Finney-Smith, who hasn't been seen basically since Phoenix game 4, he shows up with 23. Reggie Bullock had 18. Jalen Brunson had a kind of an off night, shot under 50%. He still gave us 15. Then you have Maxi Kleber, a guy that has not been able to shoot basically since the beginning of the second round of against Phoenix. He pulls up with 13 points, 3 blocks, and 8 rebounds off the bench. And then you look at Spencer, had an off night, still was able to give us double digits, but he contributed 8 assists. This team can come back if it was a team to go out there and say, you know what, we're going to go and break history. Not because we have a lot of names, not because we have a fat, stacked roster with talented players. If we play consistently, attack the basket, kick out to the open shooter, get into a rhythm, but make sure we're still getting to the free throw line and playing solidified defense as a team, we can. Now, to get into my prediction, I think Golden State closes it at home in Game 5. My main reason for this is because the fourth quarter. I understand for those that did watch the game, that was our second unit. I understand that for those that watched the game, that was also their second unit. That's my problem. Jordan Poole, Moody, Kuminga, Looney, whoever else came in the game, because at the end of the day, all I know is that I saw a bunch of freaking blue jerseys just absolutely annihilating us in the fourth quarter to where it was a 39-point quarter for them, and we ended it with 20. And the only reason that happened was because we started trickling our starters back in slowly. For 3 quarters, we were the better team. For 3 quarters, we looked like we could push this to a game 6 if possible and come back home and fight for, the potential to play a game 7. Then that fourth quarter comes, man, and even when our starters were in, we could not stop the second unit. Jordan Poole fouls out with about 4 minutes to go. Steph Curry's reinserted into the lineup. So is Wiggins, and so is Klay Thompson with about 3 minutes to go. And Golden State continues to chip away. I'm looking at this and I'm saying, damn, we had an opportunity to blow the doors off, rest our starters for the equivalent of a quarter, and, we gain momentum going into game 5. Instead, we end the game dodging a bullet when we were up 29, almost 30 points, and we won by 10. It was 109-19, the final score. That doesn't sit well with me. That doesn't sit well that in the fourth quarter, we decided to continue to chuck up threes. Granted, we shot incredible for the game. Our three-point percentage at one point, to end the game, ended at 46.5, but we ended up missing 6 or 7 threes, if not 8, in the fourth quarter alone. So we were shooting over 50% for the majority of this game, three-point percentage-wise. I'm nervous that once again, we're going to deviate from the game plan, which was to attack the paint, get to the free throw line, and kick to the person that was open. If we can hit those shots, if we can follow that game plan, I can see us pushing this at least to a game 6. The way the game ended, the way that we struggled in that fourth quarter, even with our starters, and Golden State didn't even put everybody back. They didn't put Looney back in. They didn't put Draymond back in. So it really was a mixture of the bench and the starting 3. I don't know if we can do it. I don't think we will. I think Golden State being home, them being not embarrassed because they closed the margin, but if Golden State can shoot better from the field early on, I think that they'll be fine. Steph didn't have the greatest game. Klay didn't have the greatest game outside of the third quarter. Obviously, Jordan Poole was kind of lackluster on defense and fouled out in 4 quarters. So it's a lot. I know I've just rambled for like about 8 minutes by myself, but I truly believe, if the Mavericks play consistent, we can win. But my prediction is, like we've been all postseason, very inconsistent. I would probably say Golden State finishes this in 5, but thank God we didn't get swept.
I mean, Kevin, I'm in agreement with you on this one. I think Golden State's going to close this one out in game five. I just have no faith with what Dallas can do on the road. And when I look back to game two, you guys had a double digit lead at halftime, and then you guys just utterly fell apart in the second half of that game, too. And that's really been the Mavs' struggles this entire postseason. It's been playing on the road. Granted, you could look back to the game seven in Phoenix where you could look at the one specific instance where they actually played well. But you will go to the flip side. Phoenix probably played the worst game of the year in that specific instance. Golden State, look, they are championship pedigree. They've been here before. They have the personnel to do it. And I don't think they're going to allow an utter collapse like Phoenix allowed in the second round of the playoffs when they went up against the Mavs. I just don't see it. I mean, when I look at Golden State, I think Golden State may actually start game five in a little bit of trouble because I do think the Mavs are actually going to get out to a pretty decent start. And that's really been the one thing that the Mavs have done consistently in pretty much all of their playoff series this year, whether it was against Utah, Phoenix, and now Golden State. They've gotten off to relatively good starts. It's just they suck in the second half. They just don't make the proper adjustments in the second half. And maybe that's Jason Kidd. Maybe that's just individual players on the Mavs just not knocking down their shots and just allowing the other team to just go absolutely bonkers with knocking down shots. But, unless the Mavs can show me that they can play all four quarters effectively against Golden State, I think Golden State should be able to take this one pretty comfortably at home in game five. I think, when I look at Steph, I think Steph's going to probably drop somewhere around 25, maybe 30 points. I think Clay's going to drop somewhere between 15 to 18. I could probably say the same thing for Jordan Poole. It really kind of depends on how many minutes Jordan plays. I think if he plays like 20 to 25, he'll get around 10 to 15. If he plays closer to 30 to 35, he could probably put up 20. And when I look at the Mavs are really dependent on three players: Luka, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Jalen Brunson. That's really been the three focal pieces when it comes to their offense. And let's face it, they've been way too inconsistent for me to bet on, just because there are games where Spencer can put up 20 to 25 points, and then there are other games where he can put up like 10. Jalen's been pretty consistent behind Luka because Luka's just been essentially averaging closer to like 30 to 35 points a game. But Jalen, if he's not shooting effectively, he may be lucky to drop 20 points. So it really kind of depends on which Dallas team shows up. If they're knocking down their shots consistently, I think that they could, definitely make this game a little bit closer. But if they show me anything like they did in game two, especially in the second half, Golden State should take this fairly comfortably. It should be like a double digit win for the Warriors in that case. And the way that I see this game playing out is I think Dallas will get off to a hot start. And then the Warriors, they're going to make a ferocious comeback in the third quarter, and it's going to just propel them into the fourth quarter. And I think they're just going to carry that momentum on in the fourth quarter and take it all the way to the finals. So I got Golden State winning this one. I'm going to say by about 10 points. I think Golden State's going to find a way to win this one by double digits. And I see the Warriors moving on to the finals. And when it comes to the Mavs, obviously falling short of the finals, it's disappointing. But when I look at what the Mavs have accomplished this year, it's been nothing short of phenomenal. I don't think anybody was expecting them to go this far with the roster that they have currently constructed, but it's really a testament to Luka Doncic. Despite whatever sort of criticism Kevin may throw his way, because God only knows that he does get negative with Luka sometimes. But I have to say, with the list of players on the roster outside of Jalen, Luka, and Spencer, I mean, this team is marginal at best. I mean, I would say subpar is probably a better description for this team outside of those three players. And the fact that Luka was pretty much the driving force to get them to this point, that's really a credit to him at 23 years old. So, yeah, the Warriors are moving on, and the Mavs are going to be on their way to Cancun. That's just how I see it.